the Karmic DF.
What is up, besties? It is your girl, the Karmic DF, back to you again with another video. This time we are going to cover Mercury Retrograde, what it means for you. I'm going to make this video timeless, so if you see this at a different Mercury Retrograde, it'll still apply. What we're going to go over is why it matters, what's going on, and at the end we'll cover what it means for your sign so that you can understand where it's directly affecting you, so that you can take, how would I word this, Spirit? You could take inspired action towards what it is that's being hit in your chart right now. So whether that's you're supposed to be focusing on health, career, love, life, we'll figure it out in the video. So as always, please give this video a like. It helps my channel so much. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Leave a comment down below on what you want to see in future videos or anything you want to add in terms of this video. And as always, let's get into it. So what to know about Mercury retrograde, just to start with, is that Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of intelligence, intellect, logic. It's also the planet of travel. But let's remember that it's the planet of communication. So once August 23rd, I believe, started, we started to get a little bit tongue-tied, and you'll probably notice it in this video. But the major theme that you have to understand about all retrogrades, not just Mercury retrograde, is that it's a time for self-reflection. And with 5 other planets currently being retrograde, see, I'm already having trouble talking, with 5 other planets currently in retrograde, you're going to feel like you're slowed down, you're bogged down, you're tired. But right now, it's the time to not necessarily go, go, go. It's the time to reflect, reassess, and figure out what hasn't been working for us versus what has. Right now is the time where we basically think about having like everything displayed on your ground and going, what is working for me and what is not? What is adding to my growth and what isn't? So right now you may be feeling more tired than usual. You may be feeling like you're not exactly motivated. You may be feeling like you're just kind of confused in some sort of fog. But like I said before, this is really getting into what do we need to reflect on, what hasn't worked for us, and where do we go from here? So instead of feeling like you got to go, 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 don't try to fight against the grain, because you're just going to be uncomfortable, especially the fact that we got 5 other planets in retrograde, especially with Venus adding to Mercury, Venus being the planet of love, Mercury being the planet of communication. We might see a shit ton of breakups, not going to lie. But on top of that, we just have a lot of emotions being like flooded to the surface. And then you add in your intellect getting confused, as well as communication being hard. And yeah, there is some little warning signs there. But like all Mercury retrogrades, all you have to do is slow down and also listen to yourself, what is coming up for you. Granted, we are going to, towards the end, get into what the houses mean so that you can get a better understanding of what it's reflecting you to revise in your life. But in general, what you're being reflected on will just naturally come up. So if right now you're like hell-bent on rethinking relationships, right? You're thinking about what you've tolerated that you don't want to tolerate anymore, what you want out of relationships in all forms, not just love. So like maybe you're reflecting on friendships and you're reflecting on family. Maybe your family isn't who you want to be. Maybe the friends you've had, you've outgrown, and now you're trying to figure out what makes sense to you. So understand that when you get all of these like scary little reels and TikToks that are like, oh no, it's Mercury retrograde, don't text your ex is going to text you. It's possible. They definitely will. It's possible. But it's more understanding the bigger picture, the main theme. It's like the universe going, did you learn yet? Are you going to change yet? That thing you set out to do, are you going to do it? We're going to throw a test at you. Now you're going to feel foggy. You're going to be a little bit confused. You're not really going to know how to get your words out. But are you committed? Are you dedicated to this next phase of your journey? So once you can start to see it like that is when you can begin to basically like hijack how these retrogrades go and use it to your advantage instead of fearing it. Because just like everything in life, especially with like ET finally coming out and they're telling the truth on this, we're afraid of things that we don't understand inherently. It's just it's how human beings are. And so the reason that we tend to fear when we hear, oh no, Mercury's going retrograde, is because we don't have the tools needed to understand what this is telling us about ourselves and where we have the room to reflect, reevaluate, reassess, and grow. I will start with an example of my chart, and then I will show you how you can do it so you can understand where this is being impacted in your chart. Now, like I've said in other astrology videos, I have a playlist, you can check it out. You don't have to be amazing at astrology in order to understand how it's affecting you. You could kind of pick up little tidbits, and that's what I'm going to do in these videos, so that you don't have to, be grade A where you could teach it yourself, but just know enough so that you can understand what's happening to you. So for instance, Mercury went retrograde in the sign of Virgo. Now what you would do, and I highly recommend downloading these two apps because it'll help you in general, Time Passages, which will tell you about the phases of the moon, but it'll also download your chart, as well as the pattern, which again would download your natal chart, and that's what you need is your natal chart. So Mercury being retrograde in Virgo, that is my fifth house. That is where Virgo resides. It's in my fifth house. My fifth house controls dating, creativity, I think there's something else. But dating, creativity, pleasure, things like that. And so right now, what Mercury is trying to teach me is that I need to reflect on dating patterns. I need to reflect on creativity and what makes me excited, what makes me happy and joyous, that are outside the bounds of like just work, sleep, repeat. And so on schedule with Mercury retrograde, lately I've been really reflecting more so on the creativity aspect, where it's like, what routines are inhibiting me from going with my values in terms of my creativity. So for instance, instead of me constantly watching television that gives me no motivation or inspiration, now I'm trying to watch more research-based videos, which I'm already into. So that will help jumpstart my creativity. I'm also realizing that I want to go outside more so that I have a lot more silence, so that I can have whatever downloads need to come in so that I can get back into my creativity. In terms of dating, don't want to put my personal life out there, but in terms of reflecting, I've already worked through this karmic cycle, so I don't need to do it, luckily, in this round. But if you were a Taurus rising yourself, you'd be looking at, what did I settle for in relationships that I absolutely will not settle for anymore? What are things that I want out of relationships? And if you're a Taurus rising and you have to look at dating, or if maybe you're at the fourth house of like home and family, you're kind of piggybacking off of this. So you're going to want to look at like, all right, what relationship patterns were horrible that broke me? What do I refuse to accept? What are things that make me happy? Maybe I need to make a list, especially with Mercury being in the sign of Virgo. They're analytical. They make lists. They make plans. That is something that you should strive for. I have 4 Virgo placements. I don't regret it, except it just makes me hypercritical and it's annoying. But being in the sign of Virgo, this is a great time to start making concrete plans. So making schedules, understanding what you want to do and laying it out, making it realistic. What I'm seeing is like 3D versus 5D. It's not just laying in your head rent-free as an idea. No, you're putting it on paper and you're making it work. You're building. That is the energy of Virgo itself. Okay, so now helping you figure out where this is being impacted in your natal chart. Again, like I said, you can even just download it, Google it, free birth chart. It'll come right up, Cafe Astrology, CoStar. But like I said before, I recommend the pattern and I recommend Time Passages. That being said, like I said, I've given you an example, kind of like math here. Virgo is where Mercury is going retrograde. And so Virgo, in my natal chart, is in the 5th house. So right now I'm working on the 5th house, which I already told you before is romance, creativity, etc. Pleasure, excitement, all that crap. But let's say you're looking at your chart and Virgo is not in your 5th house. If it's in the 1st house, this is of the self. This may also be physical body. So maybe you're thinking about exercise, eating healthy. This is also about identity. Who am I? How do I want to show up in the world? And again, it's finding that balance between who you are versus who you want to be and meeting in the middle. And that comes with each and every house sign, because retrograde, again, is us reassessing and reevaluating. It's not big and scary. It's just us going, is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to be doing? This is where the focus is. Is this who I want to be right here, right now? And that's the benefit of retrogrades. Moving on to 2nd house, you have your finances and material possessions. So if your 2nd house is Virgo, then you might be reevaluating, I don't know, maybe your job and how much money you're putting out. Maybe you're spending too much. Maybe you're not treating yourself enough, right? Sometimes we have guilt when we splurge on ourselves versus just paying our bills. So maybe you're being asked to reevaluate, where are we either being too stingy in our finances, or where are we overdoing it in our finances and not prioritizing what needs to get done. Third house is communication. This is also travel, and this is also siblings, family. So again, I don't feel like I need to give examples for all of these, but third house, you're doubling down on communication issues. So where is it that you stifle your voice? Where is it that you feel like you can't speak up your truth? Who is it that makes you feel like you can't? Where did that come from? Maybe in your childhood or a bad relationship. It's reevaluating, reassessing, and fixing things. Fourth house, home, family. Maybe you're looking into your ancestry as well, but again, same idea, we're reevaluating. Fifth house, what I said before, for my own romance, creativity. Sixth house is health, wellness, illness, also co-workers, and then there's a side part of animals. I don't really know how that would play in, unless maybe like you're considering eating vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, stuff like that. I could see how that would impact the sixth house. But moving on to the seventh house, we have one-on-one relationships and partnerships, which again, there's a lot of relationships kind of impact a lot of the houses in one way or another. So again, you might see, similar to like me with my fifth house, you might be realizing with the one-on-one relationships, are we communicating effectively? Do we make sense? It doesn't necessarily mean love. It could be friendships too. Are we the same type of people? Do we vibe well? You're going to be noticing more your feelings and your vibes versus like mentally. You're going to be with the fog from Mercury retrograde and communication being hard, you're going to be leading with your heart, which is a good time because it's going to help you learn what you want and what you don't want. Moving on to the eighth house is, I covered seventh house, yeah. Moving on to the eighth house, you have finances, all sorts of it, whether you're sharing finances, whether you're worrying about taxes, whether all of that. It's also death. Now, if it's eighth house Virgo in your chart, that does not mean that you're going to die, so don't even go there. It just might be like, maybe you're more philosophical towards the idea of death. Maybe you're like, I used to think that we just died and that's it, and now I have this feeling that reincarnation's real. You know, it could be something like that. But anyway, eighth house, you're going to see more about like finances and trying to build up your money. Where do I go wrong? It kind of piggybacks off of the other house that I was just talking about with finances. Going on to the ninth house, you have travel again. You also have higher education. You have philosophy. Notice how these kind of like go hand in hand, which is why you have a lot of people that are like, I'm going through the same thing, yet their natal charts are probably a little bit different. It's kind of because they piggyback off of each other. But again, with ninth house, it's going to be something like, maybe you want to take a new class. Maybe you want to go back to school. Maybe you want to travel somewhere new and experience a new part of life. Maybe you just want to learn about different cultures, experience stuff like that. So that would be the ninth house. 10th house is career, public image, and your reputation. So that's more obviously about your job. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you making excuses for it? Is it just paying the bills and it's not actually getting you anywhere? And now you're like, you know what? This job is making me feel sick. I'm not happy here. I deserve more than this. Listen to all the intuitive nudges that you're going to get as this stuff is going down, because it's telling you about yourself. Remember, when you're in a Mercury retrograde, your head's foggy, but guess what's not foggy? Your intuition and your heart. So be mindful and listen to that. I believe that was what I covered. Ninth house, 10th house. Yeah, 10th house was career. All right, and then we move on to 11th house, which is friends and networking and being a part of a group. So I'm kind of shocked that that hasn't hit me. But that, again, like, do you see how they kind of piggyback off of each other? So don't be shocked when you're going through something similar to someone else who doesn't have things in the same house. But again, it's like with the 11th house, you might be like, I'm growing out of my friends. Maybe they want to party, but I want to stay home. Maybe they want to talk crap about other people while I want to think about aliens and conspiracies. You know what I mean? It's you reevaluating if the people in your life are really who you want to be involved with. Even when it comes to networking, it's like, are the people you working with people you really want to be working with, or are they chatty Cathys and you don't really enjoy them? And then last but not least would be the 12th house, with is already its own introspection, it's meditation. It's also just, it's kind of feeling like the black sheep. It's like the isolation feeling. So you might be reflecting on your childhood. You might be reflecting on where you feel like you're being slept on. You might be reflecting on just life as a whole. And so this is how we can all be impacted by just one retrograde. Imagine if I covered the other 4 or 5 planets that are currently retrograde, right? So to sum this video up, basically with Mercury retrograde or with any retrograde, this is a time for you to slow down and to listen what's coming up for you. Because right now, especially with the energy of Virgo, it's a great time to reassess what you want, reevaluate what it is that you're currently doing. Mercury is just messing with my tongue today. What you're currently doing, and then figuring out if you line up to who it is you want to be. So it's a lot of reassessing. It's a lot of taking stock on who we are as a person and if that lines up with who we want to be moving forward. So it's being honest with ourselves, and no one's around, so it's not like you have to lie, right? You could be home by yourself and go, all right, this is coming up for me. What is this telling me about myself? Maybe I'm in a relationship that I don't feel like it matches for me anymore. And so I've grown out of it. Now I need to move forward. How do I do that? Or maybe you're in a job that it's like, yeah, I paid the bills and I used to be able to tolerate it. But now I'm at a place where I'm just like, I'm annoyed whenever I even have to go in. And now it's time for me to reevaluate, is this for me? And then how do I put into motion something that's more true to my heart? It's really just slowing down, taking inventory of where we're currently at and going, is this what I want for myself? And if not, how do I create some sort of plan, routine, schedule, whatever it takes in order to become the best version of myself? Whether that's eating healthy and sticking to it, whether that's whatever it is that you need to do in your life. And remember, like I've said in prior videos, it takes 21 days to make something a habit. So with all these planets in retrograde, you're going to be really self-reflective. I highly recommend writing it down. You could get a notepad that's on your phone if you can't write fast, because my brain, Gemini moon, I'm going crazy all the time. So I get it. But right now, don't think that this is a time of like, oh, I'm being held back. I can't do anything. I want to move. Why can't I move? I understand that's how I used to feel in the beginning. But what you're going to start to begin to understand is if you listen to what it is that you're feeling versus what it is that your mind is yapping, you're going to realize that it's actually kind of like you're outgrowing things. You're outgrowing people, places, whatever it is that's coming up for you. So listen to that and be honest with yourself. And that is how you get through Mercury retrograde or any retrograde. It's all about hijacking the astrology system to understand why these things are coming up for you so that you could go, oh, okay, now I get it. And then you could go, all right, well, this cycle is being brought to my attention. What do I need to do in order to move forward to be the most authentic version of myself that I love, that I agree with, so that I can stand firm and really just enjoy the life that I've created for myself? So that's what these retrogrades are really about. So don't beat yourself up if you're feeling slow, tired, you want to sleep more, you want to watch a lot of TV and do nothing. That's fine. I just highly recommend doing some silent meditation, a lot of self-care, even guided meditation, just being alone with yourself so that you know what it is that's coming up for you, so that you could say to yourself that you're ready to let it go, so that you could be happy. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave it down in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. It helps my channel so much. Subscribe, hit that notification bell for future videos, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you guys so much. You got this. Rest, self-care, do whatever it is that you need. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, babies.